Hello Metas and welcome to my dedicated Jaws build guide. In this video I'll walk you through the optimal weapon configuration, highlight the most effective food and drink buffs to maximise its potential, and reveal a couple of key gems that significantly boost this build damage per second, pushing it towards a staggering 478,000 DPS, making even nightmare content feel significantly easier. So with all that covered, sit back, relax, and let's dive in to unlock the full potential of this game-changing build. So let's start off by looking at the main weapon of this build, the Little Jaws. Hitting enemies triggers Unstable Bomber, with a 0.9 second cooldown, 40% damage against players, plus 0.2 seconds Unstable Bomber delay. When hitting enemies affected by Unstable Bomber, the current Unstable Bomber final damage plus 20%. For every 0.1 second of Unstable Bomber delay, Unstable Bomber damage plus 15%. So let's take a look at the keyword Unstable Bomber. Trigger one status damage blast of 100% psi intensity after 0.1 seconds with a blast radius of 1.5 meters. The damage decays over the explosion distance down to a minimum of 50%. The additional damage is blast element, cannot crit, cannot strike weak spots, and will not decay with distance. Actual factor equals 100% times 1 plus explosive damage factor bonus times 1 plus explosive final damage bonus. Now let's take a look at the calibration. For my calibration, I am running a heavy style for magazine capacity plus 60% and reload speed minus 30% with a double elemental damage suffix. For my accessories, I am running small compensator, compact reflex sight, elite vertical grip, weighted SMG mag, and tungsten AP ammo. This gives me a total stability of 47, accuracy of 57, range of 24, and a reload speed of 56. Next, let's take a look at our secondary, the Gulped Lore. 30% chance to trigger Unstable Bomber on hit. The chance increases to 90% when hitting a weak spot. Each enemy defeated reduces Unstable Bomber range by 10%, with damage plus 20% for 30 seconds, up to 5 stacks. Unstable Bomber is guaranteed to deal crit damage with every 1% weak spot damage. Unstable Bomber damage plus 1%. For the calibration, I am running rapid shot style. Bolt pulling speed plus 50%, reload speed plus 50%, attack minus 10%. Ideally, you'd want to run a double weak spot damage, but unfortunately, I only had a weak spot and a crit damage. And for my accessories, I am running large suppressor, advanced sniper sight, tactical laser sight, amended SR mag, and tungsten AR ammo. This gives me a total stability of 90, accuracy of 88, range of 83, and a reload speed of 47. For my melee weapon, I am running the Kukri Knife. Defeating a target grants all weapons attack plus 30% and crit rate plus 15% for 10 seconds. When defeating an enemy with a heavy strike, psi intensity plus 20% and restores HP by 200% of psi intensity. This is very easy to achieve if you just destroy a sticky ice cube that is created by the ice pot deviant. So now let's do some damage testing. During my raw damage phase, I managed to hit a good number of 108,000 DPS. When applying the buff from my Shattered Maiden, that number jumps up to 156,000 DPS. Now, this is where things truly become interesting. Recall the second perk on the Gulped Lore. Well, now I've managed to achieve the maximum of 5 stacks, and as you can clearly observe, my damage per second surges dramatically to an impressive 225,000. Now let's turn our attention to testing the Kukri Knife. After acquiring the necessary buffs and applying my maiden ability, my damage per second reaches an impressive 229,000. So now let's have a look at it fully buffed. With Shattered Maiden, Gulped Lore, Kukri Knife, Whimsical Drink, and Surprise Spring Roll, I hit a total of 404,000 DPS. So when fully buffed with Shattered Maiden, 5 stacks of Gulped Lore, the Kukri Knife, Whimsical Drink, and crucially Popcorn, we achieve a staggering 478,000 DPS. That represents a significant 74,000 DPS increase simply by utilising Popcorn instead of the Surprise Spring Roll. Next is my Cradle perks, as shown on screen. Yours may differ depending on the scenario that you're in. I am currently in a Lunar server. I just want to take this quick moment to say thank you to all my incredible viewers and subscribers for your continued support. Your engagement truly means the world to me. If you're enjoying the content so far, please feel free to leave a like, drop a comment, or subscribe. It really helps grow the channel. Thank you for your valuable time, and now let's get back and take a look at the buffs, armors, and mods that really make this build pop. So as mentioned before, you want to choose Popcorn, and this gives you a buff of used to increase your unstable bomber damage by 10%. For this, you'll need 1 deviated corn, 2 normal corn, 2 sugar, and 2 corn oil. For our drink buff, we're going to use the Whimsical Drink, used to gain 25% status damage. To make this, you'll need any one flour, but I recommend using bell flour as it enhances the effects of the dishes. 1 deviated saffron, 5 purified water, and 5 ice cubes. Next, let's talk about our little friend, the Shattered Maiden. Autonomously moves and attacks, inflicts slowdown and chain to non-boss enemies in front when attacking, also increasing their explosion damage received by 70%. This deviant is very, very crucial to the build. One, it increases your explosion damage by 70%, and I've only got a skill rating 4. So I believe if you've got a skill rating 5, that becomes 80%. And secondly, if you notice when using the Shattered Maiden, she freezes enemies in position, which gives you vital time to make maneuvers when needed. So now that the buffs and the drinks are all out of the way, let's take a look at the armor sets. So for my main armor set, I'm running the 3-piece treacherous set. For weapon damage reduction of 10%, when HP is below 70%, weapon damage and status damage plus 12%, and the HP reduction from low sanity is decreased by 40%. Weapon and status damage plus 10% and further increases as your sanity drops up to 28% at max 30% sanity. When the criteria of the armor is met, that means we gain a total of 50% weapon damage and 50% stats damage just for running an armor set. For my next set of armor, I am running 2-piece Blackstone. For cold and heat resistant plus 2.5, which really doesn't make much difference. I mainly want the second piece. Upon dealing elemental damage, gain 1 stacks of warm sensation. Elemental damage plus 2% for 2 seconds. Triggers 1 time every 0.5 seconds up to a maximum of 5 stacks. And for our key piece of armor, I am running the explosive front top. Unstable bomber delay plus 0.3 seconds. Unstable bomber damage plus 30%. This ties in very, very good with the little jaws as it has a delay itself built into the gun. Now let's take a look at mods and let's start with the gun in general. So for my gun, I'm using a supercharged mod with the unstable bomber suffix. Triggering unstable bomber grants unstable bomber damage plus 5% for 3 seconds, and the effect can stack up to 6 times, with the aptitude effects of unstable bomber damage plus 4.8, damage against elite enemies plus 6, head damage reduction plus 1.6, and blast damage plus 6. The other option is you can run heavy explosives. Again, you want to run unstable bomber suffix. And you want to aim to get the same unstable bomber damage and blast damage as your main aptitudes. For my secondary, I am running the heavy explosive violent mod. Unstable bomber inflicts stagger on enemies and deals 40% less damage to you. I'm trying this out as I use the sniper to proc for my main damage, and this way I can just stagger and keep the enemies at a distance. Ideally, you would want to have it with an unstable bomber suffix, again with unstable bomber damage and blast damage. For my helmet mod, I am running Deviation Expert with the Lunar suffix. Range minus 25%, fire rate plus 10%, and status damage plus 20%, with the aptitude effects of the lower your HP, the higher your elemental damage up to 9.6%, damage against great ones plus 2.4%, the lower your HP, the higher your status damage up to 9.6%, and the lower your HP, the higher your damage reduction against deviants up to 12%. For the mask mod, you want to run delayed blast with the unstable bomber suffix. Before the bomb explodes, for every 4 hits taken, the bomb's final damage plus 25%. Aptitude effects: unstable bomber damage plus 4.8%, damage against normal enemies plus 8%, max HP plus 2.4%, and blast damage plus 6%. Ideally, you aim for the unstable bomber damage and blast damage, and then your other 2 perks can be damage against normal, damage against elite, or damage against great ones. For my chest piece, I'm running Ardent Shield Lunar. While the shield is active, you gain 15% damage reduction. When the shield exceeds 1000 single instances of damage, they will not penetrate the shield. Aptitude effects: the lower your HP, the higher your elemental damage up to 16%. The lower your HP, the higher your damage reduction against deviants up to 9.6%. The lower your HP, the higher your status damage up to 7.2%, and damage against elite enemies. For my gloves mod, I am running Elemental Overload Talents. Elemental damage plus 18%, elemental damage plus 6.4%, status damage plus 4.8%, damage against normal enemies plus 4%, and weapon damage reduction plus 4.8%. Again, your aptitude effects, you want to aim for elemental damage, status damage, and then prioritize your other 2 buffs as either damage against normal enemies, elite enemies, or damage against great ones. For your legs mod, you should run Abnormal Increase with the talent suffix. When the magazine is empty, status damage plus 10% for 12 seconds. Effect can stack up to 3 times. This is easily achieved as the gun fires extremely fast. My aptitude effects are elemental damage or plus 6.4%, weapon damage reduction plus 1.2%, status damage plus 4.8%, and damage against great ones plus 6%. Again, stick with your elemental damage, your status damage, and then get 2 X-type enemy buffs in the middle. And last but not least, as shoes mod, which I use Rush Hour talents. Every 10% HP loss grants 4% melee, weapon, and stats damage, with the aptitude effects of elemental damage plus 8%, damage against normal enemies plus 6%, status damage plus 4.8%, and damage against elite enemies plus 1.5%. This is a perfect example of how your aptitude effects should look when building for this gun. Alright everyone, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please feel free to leave a like, drop a comment and subscribe for more. Until next time, stay safe out there, mares.